So we've talked about the self-coaching model before, and today we want to really delve into how to master that model. The way we do that is to really understand and study the model. What is it? Where did it come from? And then we apply it to ourselves and the world around us. The third thing we do is we continually practice helping others with the model by sharing its components and watching them work through their process. So where'd the model come from? Well, we call it self-coaching, but it's also CPR. And what is CPR? Think about it. It is when our heart has stopped beating or we've stopped breathing. So these critical functions have ceased and you need emergency tactics to bring you back to life. In a figurative way, that's what this process does for people. And so not only do we use the term CPR, but the letter CPR means something. The first C is context. Whenever we look at anything in life, we have to look at it in context. And in this situation, it's the context of how we look at conflict. The second thing is what shapes our perspective. And when we're looking at that conflict, what shapes our perspective is what's happened to us in the past and what's going on in our present. Both of those determine how we experience any activity, any occurrence. And then the last piece is our recovery process. How do we get through it, get over it? How do we experience it? Well, we experience it and get over it by first understanding how we react, what's habitual for us, what happens naturally. The second thing we do is we figure out what our result is. What do we want out of this process? What do we want out of this relationship? And then the third part is how will we respond? Our reaction is automatic and habitual. Our response is intentional, and it comes from a place of power and control. So when we understand those components of the model and the questions behind each part, we really get a better understanding and a preparation to go to the next stage, which is to work ourselves through the model. I've always been one of those learners that I learn best when I can apply it to myself. I get this aha experience. Okay, that's how it works. Oh, now I get it. And so that's what we want you to do. We want you to really apply it to yourselves. I think the world is in a moment of conflict right now as we struggle with the racial tensions and all of that really have gone on for many, many years. And what I see and believe about this moment is that it is a moment of conflict. And as we teach people this model and teach them to solve problems with it, what we're helping them to understand is that the ability to work through and grow through conflict is a superpower. I say that because we always want to avoid conflict, but it is in moments of conflict that we learn, grow, and heal. And so we want to give people great tools so that they can go through it. So I gave you the example of when we go through this racial tension, that it is a conflict. Well, what if we use the model to help two people who can't see eye to eye understand themselves and the situation better? For both of them, they're seeing the conflict, but each of them has a different story in their past. Each of them are experiencing it in this moment in different ways in the present. So what if we have both of them look at their past and their present and therefore see some holes as to why they see this situation differently? And then what we do is we work the two people through the fact that they're both reacting to the situation in certain ways that are patterns for them. So how are they reacting? And then slowing that down and saying, but what's the result that you want out of it? Do you want to build relationships? Do you want to destroy relationships? How do you want to feel? What do you want to do? Let's get that result. And then as a result of that, we then say, okay, now how are you going to respond? We know how you reacted, but let's respond. If we can help people to see each other's perspective in this moment and understand themselves through this process and the powerful questions that come with it, it allows them to come up with a solution that only they could have created. The last piece is to use it with people in your facilitation experiences. What often happens is in a situation that I have with folks, people will say, well, my mother always treated me this way and I didn't like it. Well, one of the parts of the model is to explore people's past. What made them the way that they are now? What did they go through? What are their beliefs? What's their personality? So oftentimes if someone points to someone else and the issues that they have, I will ask the question, well, I wonder what they've gone through. What has shaped them? I may ask about the present. I wonder, what are they going through right now that may have triggered the reaction that they gave you? Sometimes I don't do the entire model with people, but instead I pull pieces out so that people can come to some conclusions. If people come to me and they're having some type of turmoil with another person, oftentimes I will say, what is the result that you want out of this situation? When they tell me I want the other person to change their behavior, my next question is, but a true result is something that you can control. You can't control their behavior, so what is something that you want out of the situation that you can control? You see, by taking those pieces, it allows an aha experience, or it allows people to process and then use that in their daily lives. What I have found is it's not enough for me to share the entire model with people, but instead to keep bringing them back to pieces of that model and as appropriate to talk about the entire thing. We've given you a highlight of the model that it is about conflict in the perspective of my past and my present, and then we look at our reaction, our result, and our responses. But even though that seems like a great order, oftentimes when I'm working with people, I jump around in different orders based on their needs and my ability to react to them in the moment. So I encourage you to really study the model, get a sense of the questions, what it all means, and how it works together. Then apply it to your life, including things you're going through internally and your relationships with others. And then share it with the people that you facilitate for. When you do those three things together, what you will find is that you will begin to look at life through the lens of the self-coaching model. Doing so helps you to embody this model and give it to other people as a gift to empower them. In the process, what I found is that it also has empowered me, which is again one of the incredible outcomes of wholehearted facilitation. Good luck.